Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new moon in Virgo. So, to me, this is like the new year, right? For a lot of us, when we go back to school, even if you're not in school or you're not teaching, it's just deeply imprinted something about this early September, end of August, back to school vibe that's in the air. And of course, there are people here that went back to school just this week. There's moms talking about all the stuff they have to buy, and the weather changes. You start to see some leaves turning here and there or down. It's just in the air. So to me, when we've got a new moon in Virgo, it's kickstarting the fall energy, because Virgo is all about planning, you know. And what do we do at the end of summer? We've had hopefully a rest. We've had hopefully some fun. And we know going back into the fall, for most places, it's going to start to cool off. And we sort of, go back into work mode. Or I know other people that are working in shops that are already planning Christmas because they have to. This is the time. So, Virgo, moon, and getting things organized and planned well. That's a big theme in the air. I'm just putting the sage around because it just feels nice. And you'll probably see I've got like a suitcase on the floor behind me because I just got back from a long journey. I had the longest drive of my life, and I did it solo, so I'm quite proud of that. And it was great. It was nice to feel like I had, an end of summer vacation. I hope for everyone out there you've had a good summer and a good rest as well. So before I get into the chart, I just wanted to say that I'm starting the live groups now. And so on the new moon, which is the 27th, I will be here on YouTube live, and I'm going to give a talk on whatever theme seems to be relevant for this new moon. And then if you want to join me and others after, you go to my Patreon and you sign up to be a member, and then you can be a part of my live on Zoom, where we're going to have chance to share, chance to talk, and a few readings in there. So I will do some sort of guided talk or meditation, and you can open up the floor with questions or things you'd like to share for this new moon, and we'll do a few little readings. So if you want to join that, then you sign up for my Patreon. I have configured the prices for Patreon. It's cheaper than it was. It's all an experiment still. So if you would like to just support me and my basic work that you get every month, these videos, then I've made that price also much lower. So just go to Patreon below and you can sign up and see if you're interested. So just check the links below on Patreon. If you want to reach me for a reading, also there's my email is going to be below in the comments. And yeah, other than that, I've got some exciting things to announce. I will be teaching an online course out of New York City for the Edgar Cayce Center in New York City. So that is up on their website. That will be all about intuition and healing. And that will be the 19th of October. So I'll put the link again below if you want to sign up for that. And I will also be teaching an online course with the London College of Psychic Studies in November. That will be an introduction to the Thoth Tarot. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about these new developments. So let's take a look now at our chart. And it's, okay, 1 second. I swear to God, I had it all set up this time, trust me. All right. All right. Sorry, folks. My computer is a bit slow. We're heading into a Mercury retrograde time. And Uranus has just turned retrograde today, the August 24th, as I'm making this video. So I'm going to talk a little more about what that means. I will also talk a bit about what another important thing coming up, and that is that Mars went into Gemini, which isn't so unique in and of itself. It's just that Mars usually hangs around for about 6-7 weeks in the sign. And this time, Mars is going to be in and out and back and forth in the sign of Gemini for, I believe, 5 months. So that is quite extraordinary, actually. So we really do need to understand what Mars in Gemini means and what it can bring, because it's gonna play with us for many months to come. And I will double check those dates right now for you. So bear with me. Mars in Gemini is going to be a time when everybody will be multitasking like crazy. People might feel super on fire with a million projects. They might have 5 balls in the air and they can't catch them. They might be scattered, very scattered. They can't quite commit to anything. Ding, ding, ding. If you're looking for relationships, Mars in Gemini is not an easy time. It's sort of a time when people are more chameleon-like as well, because Mars is how you go about getting what you want. What actions, what behaviors do you use to go get what you want in life? It even talks about your physical movement. Mars and Gemini. Well, how would somebody move with Mars and Gemini? Everything with Gemini is dualistic. So sometimes maybe they move quick lightning speed, you know, because it's an air sign, fluid and, you know, graceful. And other times they might be like sluggish, heavy, but it's erratic. For some, it'll just be like there's different moods that they're in, and for others, Mars and Gemini could be quite nervous. It can be erratic, eccentric, nervous, even in terms of people's movement. It's also in terms of their actions. But how does Mars and Gemini go about getting what it wants? Well, it's going to play whatever role that it thinks you want, so that you'll give them what they want. Oh, you want me to be that? Okay, I'll be that. You want me to be this for you? Okay, I'll be that for you. So there's going to be some playful stuff comes up with Mars and Gemini, some creativity, lots of frenetic movement and action and indecision and changing course, and lots of socializing, lots of networking and socializing with Mars and Gemini. If you're in that kind of communications field or anything where you've got to really go out there and meet people, this is a good time to do that. Why is this flipping on me, this picture? I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. So we'll do it this way then. So another thing about Mars and Gemini, though, that we do have to mention is that people will be flighty. They will be Jekyll and Hyde with you. They 1 minute, you know, they're all up for an activity and they're chatting with you and they're opening up, and the next minute they shut down and they want to be left alone, or you don't hear from them. In the worst case scenario, Mars and Gemini could be very manipulative, two-faced, lying, deceitful. We can't say that'll be for everybody, but it's in the air. Okay, so I'm expecting to see lots of gossip, lots of scandal during this period. And it's going to be quite an interesting time for Mr. Trump, because he is a Gemini and Mars will be going in his sign for months, meaning he will feel attacked for months. So we all know what that might do. All right, let's just see these dates for Mars. Yeah, August 20th to January 12th. That's a very long time for Mars to hang around. So just keep that in mind, August 20th to January 12th. So expect this fall to be as I've described. Now, let's also take a look at the dates for Uranus retrograde, because these are two meaningful phases, okay? So August 24th until January 22nd. Okay, so it's interesting, right? Both of these things, both of these planets that are shifting gears are in and around the same time frame. So it's sort of weird because Uranus is usually like, this is in Taurus right now. So it's, as we've said, like explosions and little earthquakes and things that unsettle us and things that speed us up, things that are unpredictable. And whoa, didn't know that was coming. When it retrogrades, it should calm down a little bit. It should calm the explosions down. But at the same time, then we've got Mars and Gemini going, oh, maybe I could do this, or could I do that, or could do this, or we could maybe tomorrow, and then, and this, and oh, hi, so-and-so. And so it's weird, right? Because you've got this planet that's really been sort of probably disturbing your nervous system, Uranus and Taurus, for a while now, like disrupting your sense of stability for quite a while now. Okay, so that's going to calm down a little. And then you've got this frenetic, happening anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see whether people feel calmer or not. It's, yeah, it just remains to be seen. Let's just take a look now at this chart. And as you see, we've got our fixed square back here again. See, folks, look at the red square. This time we got different planets squaring off, though, than before. But still, fixed squares mean it's solid. Squares are a foundation. Squares hold things together. They don't want to budge, So it's good if you want to stabilize something, keep it as it is. It's not so great. Again, it can cause a lot of conflicts. We also have, as you see, many other red lines going on here too that are not part of that, oppositions and stuff. So let's take a look. And someone's jackhammering out the door, so I will shut it. 1 second. All right. It's the whole irony of summer to me. It's like, you're like, finally I can open the windows and it's nice and peaceful. And then, or some chainsaw or something going. Anyway, such is life. So let's take a look now. Sun and Moon in Virgo. Well, what did I just do? I pointed out details and I pointed out what's wrong with it and I complained about it. That's very Virgo. Moon and Sun in Virgo. Great for purifying things, getting in touch with like the true essence of something. That could be yourself. Definitely good for healing, for really taking an honest look at things, going through whatever it is that you might have been avoiding looking at and being honest and doing the necessary thing to shift your habits or your lifestyle or rephrase things. Like it's gets into the nitty-gritty details of things, yeah. But honestly, like Virgo is their main preoccupation is keeping things pure. This is why they break things down and analyze things and complain about things. It's because they'd actually want to keep something pure and preserved, untainted, you know. And so when things come along that seem to threaten that, they're going to dissect it and they're going to critique it. And so great use for meditation, great for seeing your doctor, seeing an herbalist, great for making lists, writing things down, putting things on paper, great for finally finding the right words if you've been meaning to say something or have to reach out to somebody or have to go over and maybe read something that's difficult, because your mind should be a little more ready to dig into the little red tape that can exist in stuff like a policy you have to go over, or ironing out a nitty-gritty misunderstanding about a bill, or who knows, this kind of thing Virgo sun and moon is good for. Not so good if you are feeling very bitter or critical. Good time to hold your tongue, because even if you're right, you still might hurt people by what you say under this influence, even if it's true. But because it's goes into those details, if you happen to be right, it could be really hard to hear, hard to receive. You might also be the recipient of criticism too, and it might be, a Virgo sun and moon would be extremely hard on themselves, extremely, because the same scrutinizing lens that you see them putting on others, they're putting on themselves too. Yeah. So wonderful for organizing the closets. Wonderful for redecorating, buying the new clothes, getting all the stuff ready for school, or if you want to revamp your own wardrobe for fall, or tidying things up, simplifying, streamlining your environment. It's wonderful for that. For cleaning, it's very good for cleaning. Yeah, and there's not really much challenging the sun and moon this time, which is nice. We do have Mars in Gemini, which we just described in detail, challenging it. So what do you think that square means? Think about what I just said about Gemini energy and what we just said about Virgo, and can you see why they would clash? They're both ruled by Mercury, Gemini and Virgo. So they're both talking about the mind. But Mars in Gemini is fluid and flexible and all over the place and social. And Virgo is like, could you just rein it in and calm down and could we just decide something? Could we just put these things in order? And Gemini is like, or we could do that, and adds one more to it. Virgo has invited 7 people for dinner and everything has been measured and set out perfectly. And Gemini brings 3 extra people home without asking. That's what it is. Is either of them wrong? No. But they need very, very, very good communication, don't they? In order for that to be respectful to both parties and both different natures. So you might see some of that going on because that's in the air with the planets. The structured person with boundaries and details meets the person who's all over the place and free-spirited and not really planning things. Are you torn between super planning stuff and just winging it? But these are not very difficult. It doesn't feel like a very difficult square. So the hardest one is the moon with Mars. because that would mean like going against yourself, like betraying your own needs. So if your moon is in Virgo, or the moon is in Virgo right now, you need things to actually be a bit more calm and methodical. And you might need a little more alone time, whereas Mars and Gemini will definitely bring the party and will bring, last minute surprises and changes of plan, or no, it doesn't want a structure. So that's where, you'll have to see whether that's playing out inside you or whether this is playing out with you and others. But it just requires very good communication for that to be ironed out, I think. So next we will see, because nothing else is touching the sun and moon, it's sort of standing alone. Now, if we go next here to the fixed square, we've got so much going on in this chart. It's crazy. But anyway, when it's a Virgo sun and moon, it makes sense. There's a lot of detail in the chart too. If you're born or if you're living in the Eastern time zone, then this ascendant also applies. So it would be a Leo rising for this new moon. And Venus is in Leo. So that means everybody wants their spotlight right now. Everybody wants to be a little bit creative, a little bit dramatic. They want their 15 minutes. They want, pay attention to me, okay? So that adds another little flair to this too, doesn't it now? How does that play together, right? If you need to go within and really take a look at things and meditate and get things more in order and get grounded. And then Venus and Leo is like, hi, yeah, look what I got, woo. Doesn't quite jive together. They don't make an aspect. As you see, there's no line that tells you that they're rubbing each other the wrong way. They don't make an aspect, but they sort of don't quite go together that well. So, depends what mode you're in. If you're in this mood where you need that Venus and Leo and you need to just let yourself be loud and let yourself be seen and dress up if you want, or I don't care, go sing loud at the barbecue that you're at, then you go for it. But just know, like, there's going to be a lot of people not in that mood. They're shifting into fall now. And let's see what aspects this Venus makes, because it's got some difficult and some nice. So it is squaring off with the nodes. So there's our north one in Taurus, south one in Scorpio. So Venus is what you desire. It's what you want, and it's clashing with the north and south nodes. So this sort of neediness for attention is clashing with the directions that we're sort of being pulled in. So it's sort of like, if you're having a very serious discussion, like if you see something on the news, let's say, and they're talking about like a deep racial matter, let's say, or something violent, something horrible on the news, that's very serious. That would be like North Node and Taurus and South Node and Scorpio, talking about rebuilding stability after a period of crisis and and then Venus and Leo walks in. It would be sort of like somebody came in and just starts like telling a joke in the middle of the news because they want attention. So pay attention to that. Is there anybody like photo bombing? Is there anybody grandstanding? Is there anybody walking in and one-upping or upstaging people? Because that's sort of in the air, and it's not going to be seen very well, I think, with the way this chart feels. Now, Venus is also opposing Saturn over here in Aquarius. So again, lots of stress on this Venus aspect of me. Look at me. Saturn's going to be going, come on, like, it's not all about you, all right? It's about other people as well. Like, belong to the group. You've got responsibilities to other people. You know, the way you're acting doesn't always fit with the way we think. So are you in a little bit of that turmoil with Venus and Saturn? You also might feel it internally because Venus wants its attention and Saturn is like, no, not now, not yet. Haven't earned it. Saturn and opposite Venus is like clamping down, saying, no, your desires are silly. They're not to be taken seriously. So that's not very fun, is it? So you might experience that within yourself or from others. Now, where Venus is being supported is over here with Chiron. So it's not that supportive because it's Chiron. Chiron is the wound. So what's that mean? Well, Chiron is trying Venus on the ascendant. Well, it adds to me, it adds even more of a feeling that somebody just desperately needs the spotlight for this, you know, needing attention for attention's sake. And behind the need for that attention, there's a deep wound. So be patient with people who are acting out that way. You know, it might be annoying to you, it might be awkward, but they're doing it out of pain. Now let's take a look at what other aspect, because you see here, it's also squaring off with Uranus because Uranus is touching the North Node still, as we said last time. So Venus squaring Uranus, well, pretty erratic kind of energy again. You know, Venus wants its attention. Uranus in Taurus is not very stable. You know, it can be fine and then it can erupt. It might make the person who is attention seeking doing it, like they might do it in a very jittery, nervous, jumpy kind of way, like sort of like Kramer, you know, on Seinfeld, like, oh, Jerry, no. Right? This, like, it brings nervous tics. So we've got like this sort of needy Venus feeling with nervousness behind it. So it makes me wonder, are we going to see some sort of public gaffe, you know, in front of people on the news, or somebody might do something really awkward or embarrassing and it's out there in public for us to see. Let's hope it's not you. Now, this hits the square. So as we mentioned, south and north node with Venus are squaring. Uranus is squaring. Saturn is squaring. That's the quadrant we just described. All these things going on. People are trying to be serious. People are trying to bring forth changes. People are trying to, you know, break up the status quo. Other people are strongholding the status quo. Others are out there just trying to divert with just getting attention. It's a very intense square, this, where everybody's on a different page and everybody needs it so badly, and they're all in fixed signs, so they will clash with each other. So what else do we have going on? We've got, and then I'll get into the nice aspects, but we've got one more hard one. We've got Mercury down here that just went into Libra. So that helps us a little bit because Mercury in Libra is more of a diplomat. They're going to listen. Well, what's your side? Well, what's your side? Say, well, they're not going to be in your face like other signs and say, well, you should stop this, or why did you do that? Or like, they're not going to be confrontational. Even if they like to debate things, they're going to do things in a more diplomatic way, or maybe even like a passive aggressive kind of way, the way they bring things up, but they will bring it up, but it won't be like direct. And so sometimes Mercury and Libra will, you know, they'll lighten things up, or they'll try to just smooth things over. that can't be smoothed too easily. They might just divert attention with a topic that they find interesting to try to lighten things up. They might, they're good at, chatting with everybody and seeing what everybody thinks. So they're good mediators. And Mercury here is opposing, but it's also part of this blue triangle, you see? So this is a key to this new moon, is your communications. So first of all, the opposition we have is to Jupiter and to Neptune. Mercury opposite Jupiter in Aries. Well, Mercury in Libra, as I just mentioned, wants to be diplomatic and light. Jupiter in Aries is like conk you over the head with a mallet. It's just like raw and blunt, and they might be right, but there's not often a lot of tact with that. They're adventurous. They're not going to have a lot of patience for Mercury in Libra that wants to examine every side. They'll be like, but it's obvious, just look with your own eyes. And Libra will be like, no, well, you never know how this is, if that happened, and maybe if this happened, and maybe if this person, then, and Aries, Jupiter and Aries be like, it just is what it is. Just like, stop talking about it. So all depends who you're communicating with and how successful this is all going to play out. Mercury opposite Neptune's another story. I'm going to open this door again. Hopefully the jackhammering's gone because it's hot in this room. Good to get some air back and some daylight. Okay. And the jackhammer stopped. Yay. So Mercury opposite Neptune's another story. Because Neptune is very delicate in Pisces. It's very intuitive. It's very nonverbal. It's picking up all the cues, emotional cues, energy cues that are not being said. And so when it's applied well, it can be extremely effective with communication because it's reading what's not being said. But when it's opposing Mercury, it could be difficult because then you get into a situation where there could be a lot of undercurrents that are not coming out to be spoken of. So like if you start having conversations with people soon and they're like, and it just leaves a weird feeling afterwards, or you feel like I was going to try to talk about this and iron things out with this person, but like no matter how many times I tried to talk about it, it seems like we never get there. Or we did talk about it, but it doesn't feel resolved. There's something. So it's because there's a feeling of like suppressing a lot of perceptions or undercurrents that are not being said. So this new moon, there's a lot of communication work to be done. However, we're going to talk about where it gets nice now, and that is where Mercury meets Mars and Pluto. We have a trine, which means energy's working well. This is where this chart flows the easiest. So what does that mean? Well, Mercury in Libra would like Mars in Gemini because they love to just sort of stay in the ideas, love to brainstorm, love to socialize for hours and hours. Both are pretty open to including extra people. Both are pretty open to not needing things to be super planned. And then you've got Pluto in Capricorn still, but it's right at the edge. It's 26 degrees now. So even though it's an earth sign, it's still making a trine with these air signs. So it's sort of like if those three got together, they could actually bring people in and they could organize something even bigger because Pluto's there in Capricorn, like this master planner. Big ideas and powerful people and powerful ideas. So the way that it's working well, this moon, is actually if you sort of think a bit more in the bigger picture. Think a little more outside your family, outside your town, outside the box. Think a little bit broader. Think about how you can communicate or network or branch out beyond your typical realm, because Pluto in Capricorn probably will help whatever that is to solidify. So let's say you're thinking of running a little side business. Well, and you were going to make it local. Well, maybe make it broaden your area. If you were going to invite people for a gathering, and you were going to stay with people that are within, your town, well, maybe invite some out-of-towners. If you were going to have a fundraiser, maybe appeal to another city and see if they want to do it like a joint event. It's about expanding outwards. These three. And then Uranus also, it's not part of the triangle, but it's making also a nice blue aspect to Mercury. So Uranus and the North Node here with Pluto is very good again for let's think about the future picture here. It's the North Node, it's where we're going to. And organizing things or planning things in the big picture. Now, all of these planets that are working well are in house number 10, if you're in the Eastern time zone, and that is all about the career and the public. So it's given me a strong feeling of, maybe we're going to see some ambitious group plans or announcements or projects that, yeah, that's the feeling it gives me. Very interesting. So let's turn to our cards. It's an interesting analysis this time, isn't it? And do you notice how it's sort of all over the place, and it is very sort of like mercurial. It's like I'm in my head bouncing around a number of different things. But communication, I would say, is the main theme of this new moon. Think really about, who am I speaking to here? What language is the clearest for who I'm speaking with? And make sure that you are clear, and ask people about what they want and tell them what you want. Like, all of that will go a long, long way when there could be many potential misunderstandings. And when you do find that click where people are on the same page, I think lots of good things and plans and expansion is going to come out of it. So that's pretty fun. All right. I'm going to turn to the tarot now, and I really have been enjoying using this deck, so I'm going to continue to use it, because sometimes, I love my other deck, but I've used it for so many years. It's nice to see. It's nice to use different images. Can't even see me with these glasses on. Anyway. All right. I just bought slightly stronger reading glasses. I don't know about any of you, but just needed them. Just something going on. I noticed a lot of people talking about their eyes. So I don't know if that's a theme, but I meet a lot of people talking about it. All right, let's see what our cards say for this new moon. And they fell on the floor, jumped out. All right, well, when a card jumps out, when you get a jumper, there's a reason. So our first card that jumped out is the Fool. And as we see, this Fool looks like he's very likely to go over that cliff. Now, if you've looked at many other Fool cards in other decks, you'll notice I'm seeing double reflection on in my glasses, making me nuts. All right. Other Fool cards. The Fool can sometimes look like he's in a bit of a trance and he's floating. And other Fool cards look like he's just oblivious and he's going to fall off the cliff. This guy definitely looks more like the latter. And he's got a dog beside him, but the dog almost looks like a greyhound or something. It's interesting because it's usually not. And he's got his satchel, he's got his feather. He does not look like he understands gravity. He just looks like, oh yeah, I'll just take another step, not aware at all that he's at a cliff. So we want to be careful then of that, if that's the Fool, if that starts off our reading. If any of you have new plans and new endeavors, you want to make sure that you've thought things through well and you've got a plan, that you're not just walking off the cliff. All right, so let's see. Our next card is the Three of Pentacles. Well, that's good because that's a card of employment. You see how hard they're working here. And skilled, you know. Usually Three of Pentacles is like somebody who's got a full-time job and they're busy. It's a workaholic kind of card. It's full-time paid employment. And in this case, you can see the cat is rubbing up against him. So this cat loves this guy and he's very skilled and all these people are watching on to see his skill. This sort of fits with our Venus and Leo moment. So if that's you, if you are skilled and you want to show it off, you want to let people admire you and people love you for your skills, well, that's a nice way that could play out right now. And the next card is the Ace of Pentacles. So that's another great card for jobs, for money, for friendships. And I love that the bear is there. You see him? Sort of peeking out there. So that's even nicer because the bear looks like he's come out of hibernation and he's ready to do something. Usually bears, right? They hibernate before they give birth. And so there was a period of rest and doing nothing. And then he comes back out, or she, to give birth or to start hunting or whatever all over again. So this is like a nice feeling of being ready to launch something new, but it's with a much more grounded energy. So the Fool card at first was like, oh, he's falling off the cliff, but now we've got the Three and the Ace of Pentacles. So probably not. Probably the Fool is going to find a job. It's going to show off their skills. They're going to get a job or a contract out of it, or an offer. Next, we've got the Six of Wands. So we've got a man on a horse with his falcon leading the way, trying to find a new path, new land. This is the Victory card in other decks. And you can see behind him, his soldiers are carrying, I'm not sure what, if that's flags. Yeah, it's their flags. The flags aren't like blowing in the wind like Victory, but they're up, So he's riding into town saying, I won. Here I am, world, I won. So there's some pride in this reading, showing off your stuff, getting offers, saying, yeah, I own it, I won, I'm here. And lovely, look at that, Ace of Cups after that. So a very fruitful period. I love this card. This Ace of Cups is one of the prettiest ones I've ever seen. And look at that beautiful moon glowing over the Ace of Cups, which is a fountain And look how lush and green everything is and abundant. So even though it's a card of emotions, all the green and all the water just shows you that finances and abundance and, emotion, joy, connection, it's flowing. Fertility, creativity, it's all flowing. So that victory leads to something nice, even nicer after that. Ah, and now we've got the Ten of Swords. So what's going on with that? You see here, like all these swords stab the person in the back. Well, what I'm going to say for that is just to be weary of gloating with Venus in Leo on that first house. Like bragging and gloating about your successes, not the greatest idea. This could be representing jealousy. Sadly, so many people don't look at other people's success and are happy for them, knowing that they have just as much chance to succeed as anyone else. They get mad, they get jealous, they start to say nasty things. Remember, we said Mars is in Gemini. Expect, if you're doing well, expect some gossip, expect some jealousy. Don't stop yourself from succeeding, but don't brag or gloat, And our next card, is the Star. So it doesn't matter what people say. The star is shining. She is hanging all out there. Yeah, my goodness. Didn't really look at this deck before, but she is pouring her water, and she's buck naked and glowing in the moonlight. And she is not shy, is she? So again, we want to make sure that if we have these moments of success or happiness, that we don't rub it in other people's face. But you also are entitled to be happy when you have earned something too. You're entitled to share it without it being considered bragging. It's coming down to a communication message. How do you say it and to who? But let yourself shine. And we've got the Five of Wands. So we've got, usually that's, well, you see the rooster. Two roosters would go at it to the death. These guys are sort of playfully fighting and, sparring with each other. But ultimately, they're looking for who's the alpha. So you could encounter a little bit, again, competition, resistance. It's all just normal as you raise the bar, as you succeed. That's just normal. Happens to everybody, no matter who you are. And look at that. We've got another ace. We've got 3 aces in this reading. So this is very good. So we've got the Ace of Wands as our last card. Look how beautiful. I mean, that beautiful deer is just standing there at the ledge. It's not like the Fool. He's not going to fall off. He's climbed there. He's claimed it. His wand is pointing upwards towards the sun, which is huge. It's got the leaves falling. He knows he's won something. He knows he's got amazing potential. He's just basking in it. So I think this is actually quite a lovely reading. So I would say, get out there and let yourself shine. Think about how you handle yourself when you do, but don't stop yourself from doing something new and from sharing any successes that you have. And just know, like I said, any kind of jealousy is normal. It's almost like if no one's jealous or angry that you're getting ahead, then are you really getting ahead? Right? Because people sense it when there's a big change, and they're like, they're threatened for some reason, for their security or for something at the beginning. Oh, you just got this new promotion. Well, and people will think, well, why didn't I? But other people will be like, well, are they going to change now? Like, does this change our relationship? Are you going to treat me different because you got a promotion? So you have to recognize, like, when people succeed and move forward, a lot of people's fear is triggered because of things like that. It's not always like projecting like, well, you don't deserve it and I did. A lot of the time I think it's deeper insecurity about where things stand if things have really changed. And so just reassure people, you handle it, try to handle whatever confidence and success you have with some grace, and reassure people around you, and it can be a beautiful time. These are beautiful cards. All right, so because there's so much focus on the communication issues with this particular moon, that's what I'm going to focus in on right now for the signs. So I'm going to ask, what message do you need to direct your communications in the best way at this time? Yeah, I like that. All right, so how do we direct our communications or handle our communications? Aries. And we have the 8 of Cups. So that means that you are likely either feeling a bit down or depressed about something, or you're dealing with somebody who is. This is somebody that 8 of Cups wants to just walk away. They feel things are sort of useless or pointless. They don't feel connected to people anymore, or right now, and so they don't feel it's worth joining things. They don't feel it's worth explaining. So you're actually, if that's you, then this is going to be a hard time to communicate, and if it's people around you, it's going to be hard to get them to talk. So best way with this is you must put yourself in a very patient listening mode, and you cannot push that person. You have to sit very quietly and allow a lot of silence and space, and don't put them on the grill and say, but why, and but how, and how come, and not with this. And if this is you, well, you don't want that, do you? You probably want somebody that just wants to sit beside you quietly and watch the stars and know that they care without a lot of talking. All right, Taurus. Taurus, we have the Prince of Swords. Now that's usually someone who communicates a lot, like even somebody that can't stop talking. This is usually a pretty clever, silver tongue kind of guy. He can usually out-talk anybody. Now, that would be a message then, if this is you, you want to be a little bit careful if you're dominating conversations or being competitive in some way. If this is someone around you, I would tend to say, step back and just observe, and don't really weigh in too much or listen. I mean, listen, but don't weigh in or debate this person too much until you really get a better sense of where they're coming from and what they want, what their intentions are. All right, Gemini, what is your communication message? And you've got the King of Cups. Oh. Well, this means that for now, you need to focus on empathizing with people. That would not be your normal tendency. Not because you're not empathetic, but just your normal tendency would be to talk more or explain or teach or say, oh, tell me about that, and try to understand. And like it's very intellectual, Gemini. But the King of Cups is more like this empathetic uncle or dad or psychologist kind of, tell me about that. Oh, that must have been challenging for you. You know, put yourself in your counselor therapy kind of mode. If you're experiencing communication issues with anybody, it'll calm things down, it'll show you where they're at. And then you'll be able to know what's worth explaining and, after that. So tells me you're probably dealing with some people that are more emotional right now, they can't process everything that you're saying all at once. You've got to empathize with where they are and break it down, slow it down until they feel that you understand them, and then they can listen. Interesting messages. Okay, Cancer, how do you need to hold yourself with your communication? And you've got the Two of Swords. Well, the way she's holding those swords and sort of standing naked before this forest and two paths sort of suggests that she is a bit torn, a bit overwhelmed with which path to choose, which thing to say then, if it's communication. What avenue do I take with this person or with that situation? So there's a lot of being torn in your mind about how to respond best. And this tree is quite looming, it almost says like, don't enter either path. There's a bit of light when it comes to this side, on this side, but it's still very ominous, that tree. And she's sitting there naked with these swords, almost defending herself. So you know what? I'm going to say my feeling for Cancer for right now, for communicating, is to not actually weigh in and get involved yet. It feels like it's not quite time. You don't have everything you need in order to, you don't have the energy. You're not super clear enough to know where you stand. So it's best that you don't really say as much or weigh in right now. Just keep observing. And also it looks like sort of keep yourself centered and protect yourself, but you need to sort of know better what you want to say, what you want to communicate before you start speaking. All right, Leos. So your communication message, Leo, is the Four of Cups. Now, as you can see, he's got two that are upright, one fell over, and one is hidden. And he's just lazing around this tree. Four of Cups usually, in my Thoth deck, means luxury. And it sort of implies like excess or laziness. It's giving me that feeling here too. Are you being a little bit, wouldn't want to say it's completely lazy, but are you avoiding, are you avoiding a conversation? Are you avoiding somebody? Because it looks to me like there's someone that you need to talk to, and it's probably an emotional conversation because this is Cups. And you've sort of put those emotions on the shelf. It's hiding in the other part of this tree, like you don't want to look at it. Somebody could possibly sort of confront you about how you feel or about a topic. And my suggestion here would be, for communication wise, is that just try to be aware and be honest that you do need to bring some things out into the open. Try to not shove it down and deny it. And even though, yes, it might be emotional to have the conversation, it's going to be worth it for you to have it. So it's sort of like he needs to sit up and shake off his cloak and say, okay, let's talk about it. It's uncomfortable, but let's do it. All right, Virgo, what's your communication message? And you have the Two of Pentacles. So we had her last time for one of the signs. I can't remember. So, she's juggling. She's got these two balls in the air. She's got these two ships behind that look like they're about to run aground. And she's standing there almost looking like she's meditating or trying to figure something out while these balls are juggling, doesn't know where things are going to land. So there's lots of uncertainty. As far as communication goes, I also get another message of like, hold back and wait. You don't know where things are going to fall yet, so you can't really weigh in. You can't really go dig in and have whatever conversation, whoever that's with, whether it's a boss, whether feels too soon. Feels like, maybe in the middle of September, end of September, some stuff's going to get a little clearer based on external events, and then you'll probably know, did the ship run aground or did it make it, and where do these balls fall? And then you can say, based on that, this is what I'm thinking, or this is what I would like. So you are in suspension, waiting to see something that I feel should be clear by the middle to end of September. All right. Libras, what is your communication message? You've got the Nine of Wands. Okay. Well, the Nine of Wands is somebody who's defending their terrain, defending their position. So you might find yourself up against somebody who's just really defensive, somebody that you just can't make a point with or can't argue with because they're fixed. And if you look at how many how many wands he's got pointing outwards that are all nice and sharp, this guy is not ready at all to listen to anybody. The only thing you can do with someone like that is validate their position until they relax their guard. And with this case, when there's 9 wands sticking out, he's going to need a lot of validating before he relaxes. And then you have a little window where you could say something a little bit different than what they want to hear. And the wands might all go back up again with someone like that. So you are dealing with a difficult person right now. And so communication wise, it would be like empathize with them or leave them alone. Pretty extreme, huh? For a Libra message. All right, Scorpios. Your communication message is High Priestess. Very nice. Well, this is all about you trusting your intuition with what to say and to who and when and why. And so this is going to be just a matter of like, let's say, for example, you do want to bring something up with, I don't know, like a boss. And it's going to be a little bit difficult and you can't figure out what to say or when. It's sort of like you're going to wake up one day and go, okay, it's today. And just after lunch, getting a feeling that's the window. And I'm just going to start off with this one topic and then see what happens. There'll be stuff where you're just compelled to say things to people. And there are going to be times when something your higher self is going to say, even though you would normally weigh in. So you'll have the most success right now if you just trust your gut and say what comes, and don't say it if it's not coming. Don't force anything. Things tend to work out very well when you follow your gut like this to that degree. And tells me that you're in a highly intuitive period of your life. And I think that's great because Scorpios, you're so powerful when you do communicate something that you're quite catalytic. You might just say a couple words, but if you're listening to your intuition and you're saying it at the right time to the right person, those couple of words go a long way. They've got resounding effects. All right. Sagittarius. Your communication message is the Nine of Pentacles. Well, this is like a wealth card, right? She's got all these pentagrams engraved on the back of this stone wall. So this lady's got money. She's got her falcon, you know, so the status is there. She's looking from behind this little tree. It's like you're not hiding. Communication wise, just gives me a very gives me a feeling to be careful of people or yourself patronizing or talking down to people, because there's this status thing that she's got going on. If you're speaking to people who do have money or status in your life, you'll need to communicate in a particular way to them. So you might want to figure that out or ask other people who deal with that certain kind of demographic, because there's certain ways that they like to speak or do their business that others don't. If it's just your average person, again, you might see somebody who's a little bit on their high horse, a little bit condescending. If it's you that needs to say something to somebody, just be careful that you're not doing that to others. Yeah, so interesting that, you know, this is coming up for your communications. Yeah, adjust your communication to be aware of status issues, not to offend, and not to patronize anyone else. Yeah, not offend anyone. That's coming up strong. And Capricorns, your communication message is, well, it's the Six of Wands. We're back to the Success card. First thing I'm getting from this for some reason is to speak for yourself, not for a group. Because this guy's out there in the front, you know, leading the pack with his falcon, like he's the leader and everyone's behind him. And so it would sort of say communication wise, like make sure that you have, before you speak on behalf of anybody, whether that's your workplace, your family groups, an organization, make sure you have talked to your team. Make sure you have consensus with your team, because it is the victory card. So you probably will get it, but it's just would be to say, make sure you talk to everybody and know how they feel and know that they're truly with you before you start speaking on behalf of a number of people at once. And then you'll succeed at it. If you're speaking for others and you're the voice for others, and it's true, you'll be very powerful at it. So just check in with everybody first before you do that. It's sort of a nice one. I like that. And Aquarius, your communications message. And you've got the Emperor. And he's looking at us dead in the eye, crossed legs, hand is over the knee, antlers out. You're not getting near him. He's got a wall. So who are you dealing with that has a wall? Are you dealing with powerful people right now that have a wall around them? Armor? They won't let you in? Are you the one with the wall and you won't let people in? If this guy, forget that it's you right now, if you were sitting down with this guy, would you open up your heart to him? No. Would you ask him for a favor? No. The only thing you would do with this guy is just reporting back, sir. This, and this got done. He'd be like, great, go do some more. Right? We don't get this feeling of warmth or openness from him. So if you're dealing with someone like that, probably isn't worth trying to push past that armor. You know, just be very functional with that person. And if it's you, if you're willing to admit that you've crossed your legs and put on your antlers and it's hard for you to let people in, then you just need to take off the cape and uncross your legs and relax and just let some people see a little bit of who you are before you communicate. So, very interesting. Communication wise, though, the Emperor would just be like short and sweet, blunt, directive, and sometimes a little bit callous. Effective, but callous. So be careful. And finally, Pisces. Your communications message is the Sun. Interesting. So this tells me, because we've got, you know, the child, but it's like a wise child. Speak to people's inner child. You know, when you talk to people, be aware that we're all vulnerable in some way. We all have some sense of curiosity and wonder and vulnerability. Everybody. And so if you speak with anybody and you see that child aspect of them in a good way, not talking to them like a child, no, but just like, you know, if you were talking to me and I'm a strong person, but you're aware there's still a girl inside there. There's still a little kid with wonder and playfulness and silliness and fears. Then maybe do you have a little less intimidation, a little more compassion when you speak, you know? Do you soften the person when you speak with them because of that? Because you'll have an art for doing that, for softening people, if you recognize that in others. And the horse with its beautiful mane, but we don't see its eyes. It's got its head down. So you're around somebody either very shy or somebody that doesn't want to open up. And the way to get through to them is to speak to their child side. Yeah. Well, this was certainly an interesting new moon chart reading and card reading. I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And if you really want to be diligent, you can listen to your sun, moon, and rising and see the combination of all three messages. Usually that's pretty accurate for what's going to happen for you. And if you'd like a reading, then again, everything is below. If you want to join my live on the new moon, which is the 27th on YouTube, it'll be at 2 p.m. for the discussion, and then around 2:30 or so for the members for the group discussion and some readings. So I hope you will join, and I wish you a wonderful new moon phase. Set your intentions and manifest.